While the ongoing Rampocalypse sends component prices to the moon as AI companies gobble up every single chip they can get their hands on, Apple has been forced to up the prices of many products across the board. The new MacBook Neo up $100, base Mac Mini and MacBook Air up $200, and don't even ask about the more powerful MacBook Pro and Studio models. Even the HomePods and Apple TV have taken a hit. But Apple didn't raise the prices on the iPhone series at all, nor the Apple Watch, and that may be because of a trick up their sleeves that very few people have been talking about, and we'll come to that in a bit. While you might think this is just because there are new models around the corner, so Apple will raise those prices then when they get updated, I'm less confident that that's going to be the case. Analysts are suggesting that the prices for the new iPhone Pro could go up by as much as $200, so starting at $12.99 and $13.99 for the Pro and the Pro Max, respectively. I'm not sure that the analysts are right this time. So in this video, we'll dive a little bit deeper into why Apple might be able to maintain the pricing on the iPhone and why I'm not convinced by the analysts. Want the latest Apple news, leaks and rumours? Subscribe and ring the bell. Apple's price hikes leaving out the iPhone is my biggest clue for all of this. Apple doing a single price hit increase on the Mac and the home lines is not because they're costing more to build today. Look at the HomePods. Both sizes are expected to be upgraded in the fairly near future, with the Mini coming first. And this is all in order to accommodate Apple's new Siri, as is the new Apple TV box. When the original HomePod Big was discontinued, quite some time before it was refreshed, it seemed that all of the inventory had been produced in one single production run years earlier. These do not sell in huge numbers. I mean, we're still talking tens of millions, more than I could make in my flat, but small numbers for Apple. And way smaller numbers, of course, towards the end of their product lifespan, which is very much what these are approaching. I would hazard a guess that every single HomePod that will be sold this side of the new refresh has already been built way before the price increases arrived. So if building them won't cost Apple any more money because of the price increases, why have they gone up in cost? Well, we'll come to that. Apple TV has, by all accounts, also already been built ahead of its new release with Siri AI and been sat in a warehouse since last year, just awaiting the software that it needs to finally fulfill its destiny. Now, did you notice how few mentions there were of Apple TV and HomePod related software at WWDC? That's basically because those platforms need the new hardware in order to run all of the cool new features, so they're not coming to the old stuff that we already have, so there's no point in mentioning it. They are new product features, not necessarily new software features, because they don't work backwards. Plus, we're expecting the new mini screen-based home hub from Apple this year too, which I'm placing my bet on being called the HomePod Touch, basically a smart home management piece from Apple that lives on your wall or attached to a little speaker on your desk. So, if Apple isn't building any more HomePods or the current Apple TV generation, why did the products go up in price already? So that when the new versions arrive, the conversation is around the new product and the new features, and not about a price increase that would overshadow the release. Makes sense. Every single year there are questions about whether the iPhone price will go up, and if it does, that becomes the headline for pretty much all of the media outside of the tech people that actually care about what the product does. If you think about the iPhone X when that was released at $999 alongside the iPhone 8 that was $799, every single headline in the mainstream media was about the first $1,000 iPhone. The situation is potentially slightly different for the Mac. Apple does build those in more of an on-demand model. Yes, of course, ahead of a big launch, they will stockpile the most popular models and configurations, and that's to absorb the initial hit of orders when they first go live and make sure you've got some in stores for people to go in and pick up. But then further down the line and into the lifespan of the product, most are built around a week before shipping, and custom configurations with specific combinations of memory, chip, storage are likely to be built to order. So on the Mac side of things, yes, this is to combat the kind of real-time pricing issues that have already happened, and in the case of the Mac Mini and the Mac Studio, because the demand for on-device AI models like OpenClaw, which Apple's unified memory architecture is ideal for running, has just seen the demand for those things absolutely skyrocket. People have been buying them up and building their own sort of stacks of these things as sort of cloud compute in your own home. It's very, very cool because Apple has been able to build this, but at the same time, it's caused problems for the rest of us.
Can't innovate anymore, my ass.
So we've established why the Mac and home devices have seen the price rises, but what about iPhone? So Apple may have a way of not countering fully, but mitigating some of the additional cost associated with memory for its next generation iPhones, and it comes down to the way that Apple's A-series chips are designed and manufactured, both in the past and moving forwards. Now, Apple's been designing their own ARM-based chips for the iPhone and the iPad since 2010's iPhone 4 and the original iPad in the A4 chip, and this is what has grown into what will be this year's A20 Pro, evolved into the M series of chips that Apple uses today in the higher-end iPads and the whole Mac lineup, and with the A chips, Apple currently layers a memory package on top of the chip itself using third-party supplied memory chips. So it essentially sits layered on top of the processor. In the A20 Pro, however, things might well be changing, adopting TSMC's wafer-level multi-chip module technology, or WMCM, which is not much less of a mouthful, but it allows multiple dies, including logic, memory, and I/O, all to be integrated onto a single wafer to boost performance and efficiency. But more importantly, this could allow Apple to avoid the pricing of off-the-shelf memory, which everyone else is fighting for, by building that memory right into the very silicon at the heart of the A20 Pro itself. Now, of course, Apple will potentially not even talk about that at the iPhone event, in terms of the costs at least, but really focus on how much faster this makes it. Of course, this will likely increase the size of the die, at least a little, for each A20 Pro, meaning less will fit on each silicon wafer. While that will increase the cost of production of each chip, given the huge amounts of memory cost increases at the moment, that might well be a compromise that Apple is willing to make. Now, if Apple is able to pull this off and keep the pricing where it currently is, or even keep the increases smaller, say $50 to $100 instead of $200, that would be a massive win. I still think that if Apple was planning to increase the prices of these, they would have just done it alongside everything else that they already did. It would have moved away the sticker shock, away from the day that Apple announces the products, and when they want the focus to be on the product features. So I do still think this is possibly the plan. I think Apple is going to try and keep their pricing as competitive as they can for these Pros. And regardless, the huge story after the September launch event is going to be the new folding iPhone, possibly named as the iPhone Ultra according to some sources, but let's be honest, the sources have got stuff wrong in the past. Vision Pro was not thought of as Vision Pro until Apple called it that. But that iPhone Ultra, or folding iPhone, is going to have the big sticker price. Now, a lot of people have been talking about it being between $2,000 and $2,500, because Galaxy, I think, is around about the $1,800 mark, but the high-end Galaxy phones are pretty price comparable now with Apple phones, so it may be closer to the $2,000 than the $2,500, and maybe even a $1,999 or an $1,899 starting point. But perhaps that Apple is just hoping that the huge price on that will make the Pros look good, even if the prices do have to go up. But I think they're going to be doing everything they can to try and keep them reasonable as a post-$1,000 iPhone is, just to try and keep as much market share as they can. Because, let's be honest, Apple are on an absolute flyer at the minute in terms of grabbing market share on the Mac and on iPhone. Last year was like 20-something% higher than previous years in terms of iPhone sales, and this year it's going to be even bigger. But let me know what you think in the comments. What do you think? What are you most excited to see in September? And are you planning an iPhone upgrade just like I am? Not getting the foldy flippy boy, but I do need me a new Pro iPhone. So, thank you to all of my patrons. Thank you to you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.